The most common way to get to school in the morning was to use your 2 feet and get walking. There was no
I couldn't go home alone until I was at least, I think, year 10? No.
that plastic credit cards are the only way to pay for things.
If you ask me for change, or any Gen Z of my age for change, we're just not going to give it to you because we all are using Apple Pay on our iPhones.
A BB gun was considered a toy.
These things look like actual guns. Is that freaking thing got a scope on it? Like, why has it got a scope? That looks like an actual sniper. Alright guys, your fellow Gen Z Brit is back again with another video. Today I'm going to be checking out 13 things from the 1960s. Kids today, like myself, will never understand. For those of you guys that may be familiar with me on this channel, know that I'm a Gen Z Brit, a very curious mind, but you also know that we also realize that I'm in a different setting. I've currently got my microwave to my right, my fridge to my left. So if something needs to get cooked up today in the kitchen, you might see your boy, you know what I'm saying, chefing it up today. Obviously I'm in a different setting today because things had to change, so I said let me switch it up and let's see what you guys are feeling. You know, maybe the vibes might be a bit different in the kitchen. Maybe you guys might want me to film in here again. I can confirm that nobody will be eating in this house until I'm finished with these videos. So can we get a like can we like the video for my family so they don't starve to death whilst I'm recording this? But hopefully this goes smoothly. This is from the channel Recollection Road. Some of you guys are telling me to check some of their videos out. I've currently reacted to some of Rated History videos. So these guys seem to be another one that does these kind of nostalgic videos, flashbacks to the past. But guys, look, nonetheless, it's a blind reaction. I'm going to go into this one. Let's see what this one is all about, guys. And with that being said, of course, don't forget to smash the subscribe button if you guys are new here, so you can get more quality content like this. Don't forget to turn on those post notifications. And as well, guys, look, links in the description terms like my PayPal, where you can donate to this channel, and my Patreon, where you can get exclusive bonus content from me. I have on the screen stuff that I've done from 1980s sitcoms, from full album reviews, some Prince album reviews, showing my sister another Gen Z Prince for the first time. She was shocked. That was like 2 weeks ago. So if any of you guys are interested in any of that stuff, and so much more coming your way. So yeah, it would be great to support the channel. But guys, with that being said, let's get straight into this video. Let's go!
There are many things that are completely unique to the 1960s. If you grew up during that time...
What is School Crossing? You got all their kids. This picture's in color. So it must be colorized, right? Or this is maybe a reenactment from the time back in the day, because what is this? Is that like a school? Is that, what's the guy? Is this like a policeman? What's this person here doing? I don't know what that's about, but off the jump, this is already looking different.
Things that are completely unique to the 1960s. If you grew up during that time, then you know how different they are from today. Entertainment, culture, and just basic daily...
I'm pretty sure you guys call those things vinyl records. That's on the briefcase, on the suitcase here. I don't know how that would work. Is that a suitcase even? I don't know what that is. Is that a suitcase? But it looks like a concoction. It looks like they're listening to music. They got vinyl records. And something that I've never experienced before, but obviously you guys are telling me about some of the stories you guys had with these things. Yes, times have changed.
Routines have changed drastically. So here are 13 things from the 1960s that kids today would never fully understand.
Alright, well, let's see then. Let's see, because so far I haven't understood the first 10 seconds. So let's see if I don't continue to understand the rest of these 10 minutes. Let's see. Recollection Road. Shouts, Recollection. Subscribe to their channel, guys, for the original video, link in the description.
Imagine waking up every single morning, putting on your wristwatch, and then having to wind it so that it kept the time. This is what most people did if they wore a watch, because battery-powered watches were still quite new, and they weren't widely available yet. This was also a time when learning to read a clock was essential, because they often only displayed hands that pointed to Roman numerals or tick marks. Today, you might be surprised to learn that there's a generation of kids that are unable to read analog clocks because they have grown up never needing to.
Okay, you see, me personally, I can read an analog clock. I did maths as a student, and I was very decent at maths, so having to read the time just came up here and there, and for a maths question or something. But even then, look, I don't personally need to look at a clock these days. I've got my phone, I've got my iPad to my right here. So the time will just it just tells me the time. But I personally can read the clock, for those of you guys wondering. I don't know if maybe some younger Gen Alphas might struggle with this, but if they can't read the clock, You guys better be concerned, because that's how you know times are changing. And hold on tight to the times you had, because if kids today can't read the clock, the analog clock, that is concerning. But I mean, it does tell you things are changing. I can read it just so you guys know. So don't start panicking just yet. You know, we haven't completely forgotten about what time or some of the things were like before we were born. So far, so good.
If we think about all the extremes we go to with pregnancy today, like no caffeine, no deli meat, making sure we take the right vitamins and supplements, and generally avoiding anything that might harm the baby.
Naturally.
But back in the 1960s, mothers didn't change much about their lifestyle after becoming pregnant. If she smoked prior, then she most likely continued to smoke. And if she drank alcohol, well, then that usually continued too.
Wow.
Of course, our mothers weren't intentionally trying to hurt us, because the dangers of these habits weren't fully recognized. It is funny to look back at photo albums, though, to see mom fully pregnant with a cigarette in her hand.
Yeah, that would not fly today at all. I feel like, from what I'm aware, the side effects that could come as a result of that. But like you said, I'm sure it wasn't intentional. If the knowledge was there at the time, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably would have put down the cigar for once, since you guys seem to be doing it so much back in the day, making ashtrays in class for your parents in like your art class, which is, it's just smoking from this period of time onwards, maybe up until like the I don't know where smoking really stopped, but at least when I was born, like, it was more taboo. You couldn't really do it as much. So to see that adult source, or the women were smoking whilst pregnant, I'm not surprised at that at all, considering some of the things I've already seen. But yeah, it just goes to show that things are changing with more information that we have now. Crazy.
Recollection Road is proud to partner with Legacy Box. Get early access to the best.
Shout out to Legacy Box, man. We are
incredible.
Going to skip that.
Walk the same route. Didn't matter. Was during the 1960s, the most common way to get to school in the morning was to use your 2 feet and get walking. There was no carpool, and it didn't matter that you were only 6. We were sent off to school on our own and taught how to find our way. Sometimes you tagged along with siblings or a neighborhood kid who walked the same route. So you weren't always totally alone, but parents didn't hesitate to hand you your lunch and send you on your way. Today, very few kids still walk. They either ride the bus, or their parents find the time to wait in long lines just to drop off and pick up kids. Have you seen some of the car lines at schools these days?
And you know what? That's somewhat facts. Obviously, this is based in America. I at least know in the UK, unless you live like 5 to 10 minutes away from the school, you're not gonna be walking. And even then, you might even still take a bus 2 stops. You know. Yeah, at least in the UK we got the London transport, so you can really get around London quite easily through transport. But I know in America you might have to drive a bit more. But it's to say, yeah, to see kids going out at the young age of 6, again, you're not going to see that now. I remember I couldn't go home alone until I was at least in year 10. Sorry. Year 6, and I would have been like 11 around that time. But even then, my house was like 5 minutes away. They weren't going to let you go that far. In secondary school or high school, I think year 7, so grade 8 would have been the first time I really started going home by myself, taking transport and everything. And yeah, this is unheard of. Yeah, this is crazy to think about.
One of the great things about walking home from school is that you could always make a pit stop at a store for some candy. Back then, a bit of loose change could get you a nice-sized bag of candy. You could also hang out and get an ice cream soda, a malt, or an egg cream. And you could straddle up to the counter and drink it just like a grown-up. From an early age, kids learned about earning, counting, and spending real money, which is something lost on kids today. Now kids seem to think that plastic credit cards are the only way to pay for things.
Hey, he's even got it wrong. Well, I mean, I don't know when this came out. He's talking about plastic credit cards, let alone Apple Pay. I'm telling you guys, I can't remember the last time I used a digital card, or I can't tell you the last time I actually carried cash on me, change, pound coins, dollars, whatever you want to call it. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't remember the last time I had to carry that, but I will say that, yeah, like, it literally, if you ask me for change, or any Gen Z of my age for change, we're just not going to give it to you, because we all are using Apple Pay on our iPhones. You tap the screen, you scan on your phone, and I can hear footsteps in the background from my family. and there's a boiler going off to the left. So bear with me, guys. Nobody's gonna come inside this room until I finish this video. But yeah, look, I'm telling you, we do not carry coins no more. I can't remember the last time I had a pound coin, unless it's to get access to a trolley or like a container where you can access something. But yeah, that's Apple Pay now, not even credit cards. It's getting worse. It's Apple Pay. It's digital. No more cards anymore.
Plastic credit cards are the only way to pay for things.
Yeah, man.
During the 1960s, toys came with a bit of risk. From science experiment kits that gave off toxic fumes to plastic melting ovens like the Thing Maker. Kids learned early that life was dangerous, and you had to be careful when using certain toys. Back then, a BB gun was considered a toy, and everybody wanted one. Today, toys that pose a choking hazard are...
How is that even a BB gun? You know, when I think of a BB gun, I think of like a little toy thing that you can, is like colored green, that you can tell is a BB gun. Yeah, but these things look like actual guns. Is that freaking thing got a scope on it? Like, why has it got a scope? That looks like an actual sniper. I'm pretty sure if I was caught in the wrong part of the woods in America somehow, some way, someone's gonna think I've got a gun getting ready to kill someone. Yeah. Needs to be careful on YouTube actually, but it's to say that does not how when I think of BB guns, these look like actual rifles and shotguns. Why are they actually looking so real? You guys let me know, right? If you saw someone carrying that back in there when you were young, did you just assume he had a BB gun or she had a BB gun, or are you actually thinking, why are they about to start doing some shooting up in this place? Because yeah, or you're not gonna know what's inside inside of that barrel. But hey,
store shelves. But kids in the 1960s were built differently. They didn't mind the burns, scrapes, and scars. They were seen as badges of honor.
Yeah, you guys also telling me how much you guys had scars and stuff like that, you kind of to remember the good old days. Obviously now, if I get a scar, or anyone my age gets a scar, it's tough. We're crying. It's rare we even get scars these days. And if you get too many scars, social services might be getting called. But hey, let me just... that's how you know times have changed, man.
Scrapes and scars. They were seen as badges of honor. In the 1960s, backpacks weren't a thing yet, so kids would carry their school books in their hands or under their arms as they walked to school. So not only did they walk to and from school, but they lugged around textbooks, folders, and papers in their sweaty mitts rather than having the luxury of a bag they could strap on their shoulders. It would take until the 1970s before backpacks became a thing.
1970s? Yeah, because imagine now, what if you're going to school when it's raining? You're telling me you're carrying all your books like that and it's not getting wet? And then you're going to have to write on the book or something, like, you know, and it's just soggy. You got soggy what? Your homework soggy? I bet some of people probably use that to get out of homework. You know, oh, the rain caught my homework, so it got ruined. But you know what? You guys got to let me know some more stories on that. But I didn't realize 1970s when the bags came in.
Watching movies was a different experience in the 1960s. There was no instant access to popular movies. We had to wait for them. That's because local downtown theaters only had 1 or 2 screens, and the movies would rotate out every week or two. For most of us, there were no multiplexes showing every single recently released movie, and malls were just coming into existence. We did, however, have drive-in theaters, which gave us another option for catching a movie on the weekend.
That's cool. Yeah, that's different, man. I can't remember the last time I actually went even to go into a theater, unless it's like on a date or you're going out with your friends. But even then, Netflix, you know, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, even Paramount, you know, we just watch everything online a lot of the times. And it's probably why a lot of these like cinemas, at least in the UK especially, they're becoming obsolete. Like people, at least the younger ones, don't really be going there as much. Unless you're like 6 and you think it's cool still, but get to teenagers, you're not going to the cinema anymore. Let's be real. That's cool. Kids aren't doing that anymore.
One thing about the 1960s that would shock young men and women today was the military draft. With the Vietnam War raging throughout the decade, young men that were 18 would be drafted into the army to fight in one of the most difficult wars on record. There were some who dodged the draft, but by and large, that generation of young men stepped up, served, and for some, gave up their life to defend their country. Can you imagine if there was a draft imposed on today's young people? Although Americans still have to make sure to register with the Selective Service, lucky for them, the draft has not been needed ever since.
Yeah, that's mad. Yeah, I can't imagine that. I mean, he said, could you imagine what, it'd be like if you got drafted today? Honestly, COVID was enough for me. I'm not trying to deal with getting drafted. And if I did get drafted, it's in our generation it's crazy because somehow, some way, like I feel like someone would get some sort of technology or phone, and while someone is like shooting the enemies, like you got someone like Snapchatting it or TikToking it, and it's just going viral on TikTok, and it's like TikTok wars. Oh yeah, look how many ops we shot down today in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is different. Like, the war will just be hella different. And that's another thing as well, because surely can't people just nuclear bomb things now? So it's like, if it really got really deep, then just bombs are going off. And that's pretty much the end for everyone. From what I'm aware. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, that's different. No drafted for me,
Remember the
please.
joy kids felt when they cracked open the red egg that contained silly putty?
Nope.
You could bounce it or stretch it, and the fascination with using it on newsprint to make an exact copy of your favorite comics was priceless. They do still sell silly putty, but very few households even have newspapers lying around.
Yeah,
and
no
kids today
newspapers.
certainly aren't reading the comic strips.
No,
So
we're
the
not.
popularity of silly putty is nothing like it was back in the 1960s.
Really? Yeah, I can't relate to that silly putty thing. The closest thing I can remember was playing with Play-Doh when I was young, and just making kind of cool shapes and stuff. But yeah, let alone reading a newspaper. I probably read a newspaper twice in my life, and I was really bored and I had no other options at the time. So just to put that into perspective.
With TV programming still being fairly new, the idea of watching TV while eating dinner was a breakthrough for the Swanson Company.
Oh, really?
The first TV dinner came in a divided foil container that you heated up in the oven, and they
Wow.
became a fixture in family freezers across the country. The
seen
novelty of it made Swanson TV dinners huge, and other companies began to offer their own versions.
Wow.
The idea was especially popular with working moms, and it became a staple of the middle-class American family. This was as close to having pre-prepared food delivered to your home as you could get, because there
No food for you, mother. We continue, guys. Sorry about that. Just got to establish boundaries in this house, man. I've got to establish boundaries.
This was as close to having pre-prepared food delivered to your home as you could get, because there were no food delivery options at the time. Can you imagine?
No food delivery options. Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eats. They got so many options nowadays. But back then, this was the closest you guys had. Yeah, that's wow. And it's coming out of a tin kind of container. It looks like it looks good though. It looks good. I don't know. Maybe I would have enjoyed that back. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have had now to compare it to be fair. But wow.
Options at the time.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
Speaking of food, the 60s offered some foods that would turn the stomach of many young people today. Jell-O now is just a dessert, but back then it was an entire meal. Our moms experimented with putting anything in Jell-O, and I mean anything.
Why?
If you find a cookbook from the 1960s, you can bet it's going to have some type of ham, vegetable, or fish gelatin mold in it. And if you had a mom that made you finish your dinner before leaving the table, well then, you were probably going to be there for a while.
Oh, that looks this. I'm sorry. What? That looks so bad. I can't believe. No way you're using Jell-O or whatever you call it and put. Huh? Let me see that again, man.
You can bet it's going to have some type of ham, vegetable, or fish gelatin mold in it.
Why?
And if you had a mom that made you finish your dinner before leaving the table, well then, you were probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah, I can't believe that. No, if any of you guys are eating that kind of stuff, Jell-O with stuff put inside it, like, what is that? I don't even see that on my screen right now. That's going to make me want to, do a madness in that bin just to the left of me. But I can't believe that. Yeah, you guys let me know if that one's true, because I refuse to believe that one. That is crazy, no? Who would eat that? Don't tell me you guys
If you grew up in the 1960s, Westerns were everything to a young boy. John Wayne was starring in motion pictures, and shows like Gunsmoke and Bonanza were what you were watching on TV. Bonanza was also the very first Western that was broadcast in color, so it was always fun to find someone in the neighborhood who had a color TV. And if you weren't watching Bonanza, you were outside with your cowboy hat or coonskin cap on, and a cap gun strapped to your side. Not sure the last time I saw a kid playing outside with a cap gun, but in the 1960s, all of us did.
Really? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's even more of a US thing, but even in the UK, I don't think you're ever gonna see that, like ever, unless it's some themed thing and it's specifically an event for that. But it's just not happening. Sorry, it's not happening.
Getting your first job in the 1960s meant that you were paid a whopping $1 to $1.50 per hour. This was still a big achievement, and meant that you could now earn some spending money that exceeded the change collected from returning cans and bottles. For teenagers during this time, a minimum wage job was more than just earning money. It taught them how to be a good employee. That started with wearing a clean and pressed uniform, being punctual, and working hard. The last time I was at McDonald's, the sign read $15 per hour starting pay. The employees, however, were wearing street clothes, and I waited 20 minutes for the wrong order. How times have changed.
Times have changed, man.
Let me know in the comments if I missed anything.
Yeah, guys, look, so that seems to be the end of the video, man. Shout out to Recollection Road for this video. This was 30 things from the 1960s that kids today will never understand. And I can confirm that majority of those things, if not 99% of those things, I don't understand. I clearly don't understand. And I've never experienced, and I didn't even realize some of those things. But yeah, it's, again, I'm just continuing to be shocked at what was going on back in the day. And just, I don't know for you guys, but it just, I guess for me, it just goes to show that, like, things just have completely changed. And it makes me wonder just how you guys, especially a lot of you guys watching that may remember some of this stuff, have dealt with that change. I mean, when you think back to this time and you look at how things are now, it's like, do you ever just wish you could go back? Do you know what I'm saying? Or like, because now it's almost completely different with digital stuff. And yeah, I can imagine that not everyone might even be as likened to this new change. So I wonder if you guys are watching who've made it to this point. First of all, you guys are real ones. Comment on a blue heart so I know who my real ones are. But yeah, do you guys miss the good old days? Would you rather go back? Knowing how things are now, would you rather stay or go back? That's my question for you guys. I want to know. And also let me know some other things you guys used to get up to. Was this video true? Did he miss out any things? And yeah, guys, look, with that being said, I'm your boy JayFlex. This has been Recollection Road, my first time checking their channel out. Again, subscribe to the channel in the description. And of course, if you made it to this point, you guys have been absolutely wonderful. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.